Hello and welcome back to the Sideline Eye podcast. This is our preview show, and we're looking forward to the Senior Championship quarterfinals coming up this weekend across Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Joining me to do so is former Armagh Harps goalkeeper Paddy Morrison. Paddy, you're recently retired after the Mahari game a couple of weeks ago there. How does it feel to be called former Armagh Harps goalkeeper?
Well, it's something I knew was going to be happening throughout the season. I've been diagnosed with Crohn's a number of years ago in 2017. So just this year, I've just been finding it harder and harder just to recover between sessions and keep myself, firing at 100%. So it was something I decided, as the season had went along. But yeah, it's going to be strange now. I don't think it has fully sunk in. It probably won't sink in, until the new season starts again next year.
And I suppose the retired players always talk about the most difficult bit is leaving the WhatsApp group. Has that been something you've done yet, or?
No, I haven't done it yet. I might just wait till I'm kicked out, so I don't have to go through that process.
And obviously, we spoke about you. You retired after the Mahari game. You stuck on Mahari in the first round, and we'll start with Mahari there. The first game on Friday night. They're playing Clonerne in the Athletic Grounds at 7:30 live on Armagh TV. Paddy, Mahari obviously county champions. They're coming in this year. They've been one of the top teams for 5 or 6 years now, maybe longer. What did you think of their performance against you? Because I don't think they were overly impressive. You definitely could have nicked it near the end. You were putting them under serious pressure. What was your feelings coming away from that? I'm sure there was regret that you didn't get over the line.
From our own point of view, we knew we played horrible, absolutely horrible. We played well beneath how we could have played, and maybe should have played. But even saying that, we did have enough chances to at least draw the game, never mind win it, to go on and win it. We knew Mahari were going to come out of the blocks early and try and get a good fast start. We felt that they probably needed that. When we played them in the two league games, especially the last league game, we did sort of go all out to try and show how the intensity we could bring. Just didn't materialise on the day in the championship, we knew the main danger would be in Falker up front. And I mean, it's not the only danger they have, but to try and nullify the effect that he has on the game, he can take scores, and not just that, he can bring other people into the game off him, so we tried not to over focus on trying to mark Aidan out of the game as well, so our whole plan was to, what would you say, ride that first wave of Mahari coming at us, and then bring our intensity to the game and just push on from there, which we did, but just couldn't convert our attacks into scores, and it did look at times that we were sort of aimlessly hitting high balls into the square, which after Mahari got their goal, there was a wee bit of panic set in. But I mean, after the last water break, we had said, look, we have time. We're only 5 scores behind. If a goal comes, So yeah, just a bit more ruthlessness up front would have got us over a line on the day. But I mean, both teams, I think, were playing very nervous, reigning champions. Harps, we were in form all year in the league after, the disastrous 2020 we had. Then, I think it was just the expectation. Even the crowd, the supporters, thinking it was going to be the game of the round was probably a wee bit naive. Games like that tend to be more tentative and more tactical in approach rather than just all-out slugfests, So, yeah, I think both teams were guilty of getting caught up in sort of the game that was in front of them.
And you spoke about the Harps sometimes launching high balls into the full forward line, and a surprise tactic from Mahari that I don't think anybody seen coming about apart from Finian Moriarty, of course, was using Brian McElmurray, who is a full forward or has been a full forward or a midfielder if they need it. He played full back, Paddy, and that was coming out of it. That was the big surprise or the big tactical move that you didn't see coming. Was there anything else Mahari threw at you that you maybe didn't prepare for, didn't see coming, that Clonard have now seen and will carry into Friday night?
Well, once they got their goal and they got 5 points up, they did withdraw everybody in behind the ball, and not that they tried to hang on, but I think they felt that, 10 minutes to go, we're 5 points up, there's a good chance we could defend this, and I think they left, I can't remember the goal scorer's name, I think they left him up on his own right until about 5 minutes to go, and then that's when he sort of withdrew. I only know that because I was sort of playing sweeper in front of him, because we had pushed our sweeper up trying to get scores. But Mahari play a very, I wouldn't say conservative, it's I wouldn't say cautious either, but they're very methodical in how they play, so everything has a purpose, and they play the way they've been taught to play, so they soak up the pressure at the back, and once they do, they hit on the break, they try and get it into their inside men and have runners come on off them. If they are swamped and they're playing against like a mass defence, they do have the shooters to shoot out over the top of it, the likes of Stephen Falker there, Fox, even Ian as well. If he sees that they're just playing mass defence, he'll come out to half forward and they'll start to shoot over the top, trying to get the defence to pull out. So, with Clonard in there, they have enough firepower as well to try and hit Mahari on the break before they do get set and back in. I couldn't see Clonard playing a long ball tactic. They'll be more playing through the hands and, with the speed, trying to hit Mahari on the break.
And I think my reading of this coming into this is nearly like Mahari's experience and know-how versus Clonard's youth and speed and lack of fear, maybe. Clonard we've sort of been waiting on them, Paddy. We've been waiting on this great team to come. We've seen now Turbo and Tiernan Kelly pushed onto the county scene. Is this their time? They haven't beat a big team yet, obviously, in the last couple of years, and probably feel they should have beat Mahari last year. Is there a sense that this team is coming now and this is their time?
Yeah, well, Clonard, they've been coming. Well, people have said, you get this nail every year. Clonard's coming, they're coming. But you can only play in present. So, now is the only time you can come. So it's now or never for Clonard, So what bigger game can you get than the reigning county champions to make a statement that you've arrived and you're going to push on, They definitely have the personnel to do it. They do play good football. They do play good attacking football. So, in terms of matching anybody for scores, they have the ability to do that.
And in terms of matchups, Paddy, I'm very interested to see what to do with Conor Turbot, because as we spoke, McElmurray played full back against Hughes. He wouldn't have the pace for Conor Turbot. Kieran Higgins went off again Hughes with concussion. Whether he'll be back or not, I'm just not sure. I assume he will be, but we're just not sure. He done very well on Turbot last year. If Higgins is not available, how do you see Mahari dealing with that? Or do you see them sticking with McElmurray and seeing how they get on for the first 5 or 10 minutes?
Well, we don't know fully why, Mahari had played McElmurray in defence. I'd say maybe they had probably thought there was probably going to be a more direct high ball approach from us. We weren't surprised McElmurray was there. He has played full back against us in the past and full forward in the same match, so he has started in full back and came up to full forward. I think it's just due to, horses for courses. So I don't think Connor will be playing more of an aerial threat. Not that to say that they won't have an occasional high ball from time to time, but I would find it hard for McElmurray maybe to mark Turbot just sheerly for his pace. I think McElmurray's more inclined to be in there for maybe the high ball or some sort of aerial threat. Okay, so in terms of who would mark Turbot, it's one for Finney and Moriarty, not me. They might even double mark him. They might not mark him at all. They might just play like they played against us in the last 15-20 minutes, where maybe not on like a total mass defence, but more sort of defensively whenever they don't have the ball and break out and trying to hit Clonard on the break. And
Paddy, we always talk about predictions on this podcast. I think I'm just given the edge to Mahari. I think their experience and know-how could be enough to get them over the line. It was desperately tight last year, and Clonard probably should have beat them. But again, their know-how just got them through. And I remember Aidan Falker kicked a brilliant point to take the game to extra time. And eventually Mahari got through by a point. How do you see this one going? Do you see it Mahari getting through, or can Clonard cause an upset?
I would say it's probably the match of the round that probably will cause the upset. The only one or the one that has the potential to cause the upset. So it all sort of comes down to how both teams play on the day. But in terms of the experience and just the way Mahari play, they don't tend to panic very much. Even when things do start to go wrong for them, they can get them back on track very, very quickly. But having said that, you look at the firepower that Clonard have and how quickly they can transition from defence into attack, which will cause Mahari problems if they allow that to happen. But for me, I would have to be the same as yourself. So I think Mahari will shade it by the very minimum. It might even go to extra time.
2 votes for Mahari, but not overly confident, Paddy. Moving on to Saturday, then we'll have the derby clash between Silverbridge and Cullyhanna. This is in Crossmaglen at 3:30, and like all the games this weekend, live on Armagh TV. Again, Paddy, this is one that could go down to the wire, and again, extra time wouldn't be a surprise in this one. Silverbridge coming through after beating Drummond by a point after extra time. Cullyhanna beat Mullabone by a point in a game that looked like it was going to extra time. Cullyhanna haven't hit the heights that they had in maybe 2017, 2018 when they were really pushing for a championship. And obviously they just lost out in the 2016 final to Mahari. Are they on the rise again, or is this too hard to call because they're so evenly matched, these two teams?
They are very, very evenly matched, and the simple fact that it's a derby, neighbouring parishes, that's a good recipe for for just one of them slugfests. For any game of football, if you're playing your rivals, that's enough just on its own to get you motivated. Never mind championship, So even if it was a friendly, it would be hotly contested, So it's hard, but it is literally a toss of the coin. So it is, and it could just go either way. Extra time, it could even go to penalties. Silverbridge have good attacking players. They're very strong around the middle. They've guys that can shoot from, well outside the scoring zone. They do carry a goal threat at times as well. And I mean, Cullyhanna, they're not just Aidan Nugent does a lot of their scoring, but I mean, the teamwork that goes on around Aidan, to get him on the ball. So, I mean, it might be wrong to call them a one-man team. Yet one man seems to do a lot of their scoring, but there's a lot of other players that input, to their success.
And Paddy, how much are you looking forward to Ross McQuillan plays midfield for them, and Jordy Ogue obviously midfield for Silverbridge. Them two will probably lock horns on Saturday. On Saturday. Sorry, two of the best midfielders in the county are in around that middle eight anyway. That's a matchup that we're going to be excited to see.
The two of them play, I wouldn't say the exact same, but they love to drive forward, especially when they have the ball. They love to drive, they love to take men on, and they love just going direct straight through the fence, drawing men and laying off the scores. So it's going to be interesting to see who gets the most productive outcome out of how they play, which probably will determine who sort of rules the roost in midfield. We know Ross McQuillan has that lightning pace, but Jordy Ogue is very, very good at sizing guys up before they can get a run on him. And I mean, that's why when he does mark the guys that are a bit pacier than him, he sort of gets them stopped before they can actually get a run on him, before they can get round him and they lose him.
I think that's the matchup I'm most excited to see. The matchup, and obviously we talked about Nugent. I'm not sure who Silverbridge will put on Nugent. I think their fullback, Brian Murphy's out injured, so I'm not sure how they'll match up. But Aidan Nugent, Paddy, we spoke on the last show about how good it is to see him back, not only for Cullyhanna, but hopefully for Armagh next year as well. He scored 8 out of 9 points for Cullyhanna last year. not only is he back, but he's back in good form, and that's dangerous for Silverbridge.
Yeah. Hayden is a very, very good player. And I mean, it's not only that he can just score. If he finds that he's not scoring, or if Silverbridge are getting a good handle on him, he is very capable of bringing other players in and sort of becoming a facilitator. There's games in Armagh when he plays for Armagh where he is the scorer, but when he's not the main scorer, then he is very capable of bringing the players in around him who then are fit to, they're fit to take up the mantle that he's not scoring, and they're able to chip in as well whenever they find that he's not scoring for them.
And two teams that have been featuring in 1B the last couple of years, last year and this year, and I think in 2019 they were both in 1B as well. They're the only two teams left from 1B. Of course, Clonard got promoted this year. They'll be 1A next year. What a massive opportunity, Paddy, for either of these sides to get through to a senior semi-final.
Yeah. Well, 1B, I know from dropping down ourselves, it's a very competitive division, and once you go down, it's not a given that you come straight back up. There's a lot of teams down there that can play football. And I mean, if you go through some of the results, they're very close games, very close, hard-fought games. And each team, they really do have to fight the tooth and nail to try and get points to get back up. So it always ends up, there's always 3, maybe 4 teams at the end of the year all going for promotion. I think it was 3 at the very end this year, with Madden, Clonard and the Grange. Just the last match or two, just couldn't catch Clonard, to get that last spot.
And again, predictions. I think this could really go down to the wire. This is really going to be a hard one to pick. I think the class of Aidan Nugent might just be enough to get Cullyhanna through. And if Silverbridge can tie him down, based on the last game, you're struggling to see where Cullyhanna's free scores are going to come from. But again, I just think Nugent has enough class to get them through. Is that how you would see it, Paddy, or do you see an upset maybe?
Yeah, it's one of those games. It could, as you had said there, it could go either way. It is literally a time cost, so I wouldn't be surprised with extra time or even penalties. It could be the first game of the championship now. That could be penalties. Silverbridge and Drummond lost in the last round. It was very near going to penalties, so I wouldn't be surprised to see that. But I mean, very evenly matched teams, very similar seasons, and it being a derby again, it'll go right to the wire. But again, I think just the Cullyhanna, even just with the experience they have of past seasons, I think might just shade it again, just maybe a point or 2 on it.
So 2 for, we're agreeing again, Paddy, but again with no massive confidence.
No.
Get into Sundays then. This is the first of double header in the Athletic Grounds. Both games again live on Armagh TV. This is Ballymacnab against Pearse Oaks. 2 teams fairly well, Paddy. You've played against them your whole career probably, or most of your career, certainly in recent years. Heading into this one, Ballymacnab would be favourites. It's worth saying that both teams were actually relegated from 1B, but Ballymacnab's probably recent history in the senior championship, reaching 2 finals in 18 and 19, probably makes them favourites. But the loss of Gav McFarlane and Jack Rugan obviously comes into that. Will the Oaks be eyeing this one up as a massive opportunity for them?
Yeah, well, the Oaks will see this as a massive opportunity to get to the semi-final. They have been going well their last couple of games. They're very unlucky not to be crossed in the last game of the league to stay up. They had led for most of the game, for a good portion of the game anyway, and Cross sort of just pipped them in the last 10 minutes or so with just a flurry of scores, as Cross do. They can hit 4 or 5 scores without reply just at the drop of a hat. But no, I'd say both teams would see this as a massive opportunity whenever they've seen the draw and they've seen that they could potentially be in a quarter-final and who they would be playing. I'd say both of them would have felt confident at the time that a semi-final was a realistic target for them to achieve.
And you've played goalkeeper against Gav McFarlane and Jack Rugan, obviously. I know as a Ballymacnab man, they're 2 massive misses for us. No matter what happens on Sunday or for the rest of the year, they're huge misses. If as a goalkeeper or as a defensive unit, it's bound to be encouraging that you're not going to have to face them too. That's how the Oaks are going to be feeling.
Yeah, well, yeah, if you're playing anybody of the caliber of the two Grugans, you'll be happy not for them not to be playing. But I mean, there's always that party that you want to play against the best players as well. You don't want the odd team to be able to say, oh well, we didn't have such and such. But look, I know Jack. He'll play if he feels he can. He'll not want to be sitting on the sideline, and even if it's just a part role, maybe at the end of the game, but he'll definitely want to play some part if he's fit and able to. So he will, But even with Jack half fit, he's still a dangerous player. If he's not physically able to be mobile, even as just the his football and brain's very dangerous. He just knows where to be and how to drift in and out of play and into areas where defenders switch off, and he knows when to go and knows when the defense is switched off, and he can get in behind very easily. So it's something that I've always, when I was playing Jack, just to always make sure that he was well marshalled and that the game marking him was never switched off, and always aware of where he was.
And sorry, I spoke about Ballymacnabb having the recent history, better history in recent years than Pearse Oaks reaching the two county finals. But of course, the Oaks have players that have won the championship. The 09 team, there's a lot still the backbone of the team, the two Duffys, Jared Barton, Chris Roberty, and Shorty Clark's now the manager. While the Oaks will go in underdogs, the likes of them boys, having won the championship and having played at the highest level, some of them, they're bound to be going into this game confident that they can get they can turn Ballymacnabb over and cause an upset.
Yeah, well, the Oaks, every year the Oaks have a great team, sort of team unit, and a great bond between the the ranks. So they will go in believing that they can beat Ballymacnabb. They've had very similar seasons. Both have what I would technically say they're relegated elect, because if any of them were to win the championship, they would actually stay up. So it's a great incentive for them to go on and win the championship, to stay in Division 1A. So the Oaks will not be fearing Ballymacnabb, and I mean, if they think that Jack and Gavin aren't playing, that'll just boost them even more to go on and push on and try and win the game before, even if Jack has to come on.
And we said that you've defended against Gavin and Jack. You've defended against Paul Duffy as well, who obviously during his county career was known as a wing half back, but he's converted now into full forward. He seems to be playing more of a full forward role for Pearse Oaks, and if not, maybe centre half forward. But what's he like in there, Paddy? I've seen him a couple of times this year. Like, Paul Duffy's a class footballer, great in the air, although he's not that big, but he's great in the air, and he scored 2-3 against St. Peter's the last day out. So Ballymacnabb's going to have to be worried his threat as well.
Yeah, well, coming up through underage, I played against Paul Duffy, and back when I was a midfielder, and Paul Duffy was a forward when at underage, right up until through minor and stuff as well. Paul Duffy had played in forward, so it's nothing new to Paul. He's always had an eye for a score. He's always been, good on the ball. And again, like the Grugans there, he does have a footballing brain. He is intelligent with his distribution and knows how to bring other players in, which, as you get on and your physical ability start to, come away from you, it's the footballing brain that sort of keeps you ahead of the game. Same with Chris Roberty. Very, very good, astute footballer. Knows where to be, where the ball needs to be. He knows when he plays in that midfield role, he knows he tends to be the outlet ball to relieve the pressure off the Oaks whenever they retain possession back in defence. So, yeah, the footballers there, they have a good mix of experience and youth coming through. So, yeah, it'll be a good game to watch now.
On our predictions, I'm obviously going to go Ballymacnabb no matter who they were playing. How do you see it going, Paddy?
I would say Ballymacnabb, just simply because of their experience, their previous experience in previous years. It is another hard one to call, and the Oaks will they will they'll play right to the end. They're one of them teams, very much like Greenmore, where they're dogging. You just cannot shake them off until the final whistle. They will keep going right until the end. But I just think Bonnie McNabb's experience of senior championship over the last few years will get them over the line.
On the last one, it's Cross McGlade against Clevey, a repeat of last year's semi-final, which was one of the games of the year, probably, and Clevey made it one of the games of the year by having a big comeback in the second half, and not going to say should have won, but could have won. Darrell Callahan kicked 2 points at the end that got Cross over the line. Paddy Cross have been the most impressive team in the senior championship. Of course, we've had the advantage of seeing them twice so far this year, where we've only seen every other team once. They were very impressive against Clonagale on Madden, but both teams, both clans on Madden did have massive goal chances. Madden took one, should have had three probably in the first 10 or 15 minutes against Cross. Is that an area where you can hurt Cross? Obviously, up front, they're very good in the middle of the field of the two O'Neills. Defensively, can you get at them, perhaps, especially early on?
Yeah, well, it depends. It depends if they have recognised, that sort of bit of vulnerability they do have at the back, or have shown they have at the back. But I mean, Cross are Cross. They're confident, even if they do leak a goal or two, that they will outscore the other team. I think what Clevey would probably need to maybe stem would be just before the last water break and just after it. So before and after the last water break, Cross seemed to hit this purple patch where they hit 4 and 5 scores in a row without reply. So they had done it against Clonerne and again against Madden just at the end of the game, where it won them the game. That 4 or 5 points is an area just before the last water break and just after, where they really seem. I don't know whether it's a specific ploy or it's just something that happens automatically, but just before that last water break and just straight after it, they seem to hit a flurry of points without reply from the other team, which gets them their nose in front, or if they're behind, brings them right back into the game for a strong finish. And
Clevey, while they didn't win last year, it's bound to give them great confidence, Paddy, going into this one, that they did mix it with Cross last year and could have got over the line on a different day if things had went for them. They'll be heading in here full of confidence that they can do something this weekend.
Yeah, well, it'll boost their confidence, but as well as that, it'll take away that fear that people would have had of Cross, especially when there's a good possibility that you should have beat them last year and pushed on. So I mean, they'll see it as a gift, getting a second chance to put right what happened last year and try and go on and go a step further this year and hope and probably beat them.
And I want to ask you about Shea McGill, Paddy, because I know you had coached him at minor level and for the county minors for a couple of years. He made his debut obviously for Armagh this year in strange circumstances, shall we say. Didn't have a dream debut, but he was maybe at blame for one of the goals, but not at blame for all of them. And some of his kickouts were brilliant as well. I remember the big long one to Rain that Rain took the mark, and that I think everybody would remember. It was one of the times in the second half when Armagh were really building momentum coming back into the game. Shea, how highly do you rate Shea McGill? Like he's obviously one of the best in the county.
Yeah, he did have a bit of a rough start to his debut, but he did grow into the game, settle down well. The goalkeeper in me is going to say that it wasn't solely his fault for that goal. Yes, you can say it was a mishit kick out, but Munnen still had a bit of work to do to get it into the goal. But look, he done well after that. I think once that mistake happened, he took it on the chin, drew a line under it, and left it there until after the game. And for the rest of the game, he did play well. He's another goalkeeper that likes to come out and play, which I think is sort of, had Blaine Hughes maybe come out of his square a wee bit more when he sees Shea has now come in and he has that in his locker. So, and I mean, we used that in the minors. The only problem I had with him was teaching him when to go and when to stay, because he wanted to go every time, but he's very, very capable and has very, very high ceiling for the future. So he has.
I think Cleavy have a massive chance if they can get the crack ball into the likes of O'Hanlon, Oisin King, Micheál McNamee. They can cause defensive issues for Cross, but do they have enough to get over the line is the big question, or will Cross just continue to play the way they're playing? Rian O'Neill playing brilliantly at the minute, like he's in the form of his life. Is there enough for Cleavy to back them here and to give them a chance? Or is this just going to be maybe another close game, but Cross is going to see it out?
Yeah, it's an interesting one because it depends on how Cleavy, come to the game and how they are going to play against Cross. So they have the potential to go on and beat Cross Midland, So it's that for me. It's that wee purple patch around that last water break. Whenever Cross sort of just kick on into that next gear and get that 4 or 5 points without replay, that's really what sort of pushes them on and wins them games for them. So I mean, if Cleavy can get to a stage where they're with Cross or even ahead of Cross and sort of counteract that last sort of that purple patch from Cross, they have the ability to beat anybody in that 1A. I mean, they beat us this year up in Cleavy, so they are a potent team and they do defend, they do play, they like to play hard physical football, which will suit both teams. So I mean, yeah, but Cross is Cross, and until Cross have a period where they haven't won a championship in say 5+ years, they'll always be regarded as the team to beat in Armagh.
I think no matter what it is, we're going to tip Cross, and then maybe once they are beat, we'll say, oh yeah, well I thought the other team had a good chance, but I do genuinely think Cleavy have a good chance here. But just the way Cross are playing at the minute, the way Rian O'Neill's playing at the minute, I just think Cross will get over the line and should get into the semi-final. I'm sure you feel the same, Paddy, that Cleavy have a chance, but Cross is to lose.
Yeah, well, Cross, I wouldn't say they've had 2 scares in the last 2 rounds, but they've had 2 games where have probably highlighted where they need to improve. And look, I know Stephen Kiernan, he will put the work in to try and counteract those whatever the flaws are, especially coming into quarterfinals, semi-final stage. You want to be getting those right in these matches. You don't want to be going into semi-finals, finals with still parts of your team that the other teams can exploit. So he'll have wanted to fix those and hopefully show the other teams in the championship that he has worked on those and sorted those out. So I mean, if he can do that, it puts the rest of the teams back to the drawing board, going in the semi-finals. But again, yeah, Cleavy have a good chance to put things right from last year, but I mean, it's Cross who they have to beat, So yeah, it'll be Cross for me.
So 4 big games that we're really looking forward to. And of course, as usual, the Sideline Eye will be doing all the updates, previews, match reports, and of course, Team of the Week next week. This week's Team of the Week is still ongoing, and make sure to vote for whoever you felt was the Player of the Week, and they'll receive a Player of the Week jersey. Paddy, thanks very much for coming on. We look forward to another good weekend of action.